I think we all have this tendency to look for a definitive moment where we finally figure out how to love without losing our minds.
We want the secret formula.
Right.
Yeah.
We want the formula. But the truth is, most of us are just stumbling around in the dark trying to find some kind of balance.
Yeah.
So today we are taking a deep dive into an incredibly tender space for all of us. We're looking at that deeply universal and honestly highly confusing line between the fiery-like, the all-consuming intensity of passion and the quiet, steady reality of true closeness.
It is a profound distinction to make.
It really is. And, you know, if you've ever felt that ache of separation, that longing to be completely known and held by another person and wondered why you keep mistaking the flames of romance for the safety of home, you're not alone in this. That is exactly our mission today.
It's a mission we all find ourselves on at some point, whether we realize it or not. And the goal for our time together is to walk through this landscape gently. We are going to untangle that very natural, beautiful desire for connection from the underlying, often unacknowledged fear of loneliness. Ultimately, we want to help you find a place of inner grounding, a place where love doesn't have to feel like a constant state of emergency or a desperate rescue mission from your own life.
A state of emergency. That is exactly the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's funny, I've been thinking so much about this illusion we fall into, and I keep coming back to the idea of a campfire in the woods.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, when you are out in the cold, dark night, that fire is everything.
Right.
It crackles, it dances, it throws these beautiful shadows, and you just can't help but draw near to it.
Of course.
Its warmth is totally irresistible, it promises safety, but the painful realization I've had to learn, usually the hard way, is that if you get too close and stay too long,
It burnt?
yes, fire doesn't actually hold you, it consumes you. You end up with singed eyebrows. And the moment the wind shifts or the wood runs dry, the whole thing just flickers out, leaving you colder than before.
We've all walked away with singed eyebrows a few times.
Oh, definitely.
And yet we carry so much shame around this cycle. We beat ourselves up asking, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep clinging to this burning sensation and calling it intimacy?
Because it distracts us.
Exactly, just because it temporarily distracts us from being alone. But it's crucial to look at this without any judgment. In Buddhist psychology, this confusion isn't some personal moral failing or a flaw in your character.
That's a relief to hear.
It is a deeply embedded human pattern. There is a Pali word, tacha, which is commonly translated as craving or thirst.
Tacha.
Yes. But it's much more nuanced than just seeking a pleasant experience. Tacha is the mind's subtle, persistent reaching outward. It's the desperate attempt to fill a hollow space inside of us by grasping at things outside of us.
What exactly is that hollow space, though? Because, well, when I've felt it, it doesn't just feel like some abstract spiritual emptiness.
No, it really does.
It feels physical. It's like the actual echo of disconnection in your chest. It's a very real ache.
It is a profound ache. It's the ache of separation from our own fundamental wholeness. And because sitting with that ache is deeply uncomfortable.
Terrifying.
Sometimes terrifying, yes. We seek immediate relief. We don't want to sit in stillness with it. We want intensity to drown it out. So we chase the chemistry, the drama, the highs and lows.
Right.
We convince ourselves that if a relationship burns white hot, if it consumes our every waking thought, it simply must be true love.
I know that feeling all too well. You meet someone new and there's that immediate undeniable spark. Your heart races, time literally slows down, and there's this electric buzz humming in your veins. And in that vulnerable moment, there's this desperate, quiet hope whispering in the back of your mind.
What is it whispering?
It's saying, this person will finally understand me. Because we both love the same obscure indie films, this person is my soulmate and they will never leave.
Yes.
It feels so incredibly real.
Well, the ego certainly believes it's real. The ego looks at that spark, sees an opportunity, and says, finally. Here's the mirror that will perfectly reflect back my worth and make me feel entirely safe.
Oof, a mirror.
But if we look closely at what is actually happening in that initial rush, it isn't truly a meeting of two souls. It is a collision of projections.
Collision of projection.
Yes. You aren't seeing the other person as the complex, messy human being they actually are. You are seeing them as the savior you need them to be.
Wow.
The beloved simply becomes a vessel. You are pouring all your unmet needs, your unresolved wounds, and your hopes for salvation entirely into them.
That's a really tough pill to swallow, honestly. calling the most exciting part of a new relationship a collision of projections kind of takes the romance out of it.
It does challenge our romantic ideals. But we must look at this dynamic with deep compassion, not cynicism.
How do we do that without feeling bad about ourselves?
Consider the classic image of the lotus flower. It blooms perfectly, unstained, straight out of the thickest, darkest mud. Passion is not a sin, and it isn't something to be eradicated.
Okay.
It is a beautiful, sacred impulse for connection. It arises naturally from the mud of our longing. The danger only comes when we lack mindfulness.
Oh, we're just running on autopilot.
Precisely. Without awareness, passion becomes a form of spiritual bypassing. We use the blinding heat and the drama of romance to avoid facing the cold, quiet truth of our own solitude.
So we basically use the word love to quiet the fear that we aren't enough on our own.
We do.
That brings up a really haunting paradox that I think we are all living right now.
Let's hear it.
You look at modern life, and we are technically more connected than ever in human history. We are swiping on dating apps in bed. We are texting back and forth all day. We are sharing our real-time locations with our partners.
Constant contact.
Exactly. Yet, there is a literal epidemic of loneliness. I know so many people, myself included at times, who have woken up right next to someone in the exact same bed and felt entirely, profoundly unseen.
To understand why that happens, we have to examine the self that is so desperately trying to connect.
Okay.
In Buddhist teaching, there is the concept of anatta, or not self. It sounds academic, but it's intensely practical.
Non-self, what does that mean in this context?
Well, we walk around feeling like we have this solid, unchanging core, this capital I ego that needs defending and validating. But anatta suggests that this I isn't solid at all.
It's not.
No.
Right.
It's more like a flickering constellation of habits, memories, defensive reflexes, and fears. Think about who you are when you're laughing with an old friend
Right.
versus who you are when you're staring at a text message that's been left on read for 3 hours.
Oh, that's a very different person.
Exactly. The self that panics in that moment isn't some permanent truth about you, it's just a temporary constellation of anxiety flaring up. But because we believe that fragile ghost is our true self, we spend all our energy building high walls to protect it. We start clinging to relationships, not as living, breathing encounters with another human, but as life rafts to keep our ego afloat.
A life raft. That perfectly captures a story I've been thinking about. Let's talk about Maya and Leo. It's a dynamic so many of us have lived through.
Go ahead.
So they met at this tiny bookstore, and the beginning was a complete whirlwind. They bonded over roomy poetry. They had these deep, soul-bearing conversations. Until 3 a.m., they developed an entire private language of inside jokes.
The beautiful beginning.
Right. They were completely inseparable. But then, as the months passed, there was this tragic, subtle shift. Maya started noticing this tight, panicky feeling in her chest whenever Leo didn't text back quickly enough.
The anxiety setting in.
Yes. She would see the typing bubbles appear on her phone, then disappear, and her mind would just race. She started forensically dissecting his words. Like, why did he use a period at the end of the word okay? Is he pulling away? What started as a beautiful connection mutated into a 204-7 surveillance system.
Surveillance system is a painfully accurate description of what happens when the ego takes the wheel.
It really feels like that.
Maya wasn't actually falling out of love in those moments. She was falling into fear. This brings us to another crucial concept, upadana.
Upadana.
Yes, which means clinging or grasping. When the ego gets involved, it turns the partner back into that mirror we discussed earlier.
Right, reflecting our worth.
Exactly. Leo was no longer allowed to just be Leo. His sole purpose became reflecting Maya's worth back to her so she could feel safe. And here's the reality. Leo is a human being.
He's gonna mess up.
He is an imperfect mirror. When he gets distracted by work or feels tired or simply needs an afternoon to himself, the mirror cracks. And when the mirror cracks, the ego absolutely panics.
Because if the mirror cracks, the ego thinks it's fundamentally unlovable. It thinks it's being abandoned.
Precisely the underlying terror. To avoid facing the raw truth that no other person can permanently fill our inner void, the ego will do anything.
What does it do?
It will accuse the partner, it will aggressively withdraw to punish them, or it will cling even tighter.
Yeah.
But I want you to visualize a much healthier model of intimacy. Imagine two trees growing side by side in a vast forest.
There are two trees.
Underground, their roots gently intertwine. Above ground, their branches sway together in the exact same wind. But neither tree tries to become the other, neither tree demands that the other produce different leaves, and crucially, neither tree leans so heavily that it blocks the sun from the other.
Wow.
That is what mindful intimacy looks like. It is coexistence, not fusion. Companionship, not rescue.
That sounds incredibly peaceful in theory. Coexistence, not fusion. But I have to push back a little
Cool to
here.
you.
Because when you are actually in the middle of that panic spiral,
Yeah.
when you are terrified of losing someone and your chest is just incredibly tight, how do you just stand there like a tree?
Sorry.
The urge to fuse, to fix the distance, is overwhelmingly strong. How do we know if we are actually reaching out for our partner or if we are just reaching out to soothe ourselves?
It is incredibly difficult, and it's important to acknowledge that it's not about flipping a magical switch to turn off your anxiety. It's about gently retraining the heart over time.
Retraining the heart, how?
There is a profound practice from the Tibetan tradition called Tonglen, which means sending and receiving.
Sending and receiving.
Traditionally, it involves breathing in the suffering of others and breathing out compassion, but try applying this directly to your romantic relationships.
Okay.
Often, if a partner comes home in a terrible mood, our instinct is to fix it. We want to cheer them up, offer unsolicited advice, or change the subject. Why?
Because we want them to be happy.
Mostly because their bad mood makes us anxious.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But practicing Tonglen means that instead of energetically pulling them toward you to fix your own discomfort, you simply practice breathing with them.
Just breathing.
You consciously allow their joy or their sorrow or their bad mood to exist in the space between you without needing to fix it, possess it, or perform for it.
Wait, so if they are carrying the weight of a terrible day, I don't try to solve the problem so we can get back to having a pleasant evening. I just let them be miserable.
You allow them to have their human experience. You remain present and warm, but you drop the agenda that they need to feel better so that you can feel secure.
That is a huge shift.
You let them be an entire separate universe right in front of you, and if that feels too advanced, we can start much smaller.
I would love to start smaller.
Here is a revolutionary little practice you can try today. The next time you are sitting across from someone you love, maybe you're just having coffee or sitting in the living room, I want you to drop all your expectations of them for just 3 breaths.
Just 3 breaths.
That's it. 3 in breaths, 3 out breaths. Don't think about what they should say next or whether they are chewing too loudly or how they are making you feel in that exact moment. Just observe them. Notice the way their shoulders move as they breathe. Feel the quiet hum of their being. Bring absolutely no agenda to those 3 breaths. Meet them exactly as they are.
I really like that. It's so small, but it forces a hard reset. I can imagine sitting at the breakfast table, getting annoyed about something trivial, and just using those 3 breaths to pull myself out of my own head.
It works wonders.
But what about when things get genuinely messy? Because let's be honest, they always do. When you are in the middle of a heated argument, those moments of pure reactivity feel like a battle for survival.
They do feel that way.
How do we bring 3 breaths of presence into the fire of a screaming match?
Mindfulness can actually turn conflict into a doorway rather than a battlefield. In those heated moments, the ego's urge is always to win. You want to prove the other person wrong so you can reestablish your own safety.
Right. You have to be right to be safe.
The next time you feel that happening, see if you can take a single breath and ask yourself quietly, what is this fiery emotion trying to protect inside of me?
What is it trying to protect?
Anger is rarely the primary emotion. It is almost always a bodyguard for hurt. Defensiveness is usually throwing up a shield to hide deep shame. If we can shift our internal language from an accusatory, you hurt me, to a vulnerable, I feel hurt right now and I want to understand why, the entire dynamic changes.
It takes the attack out of it.
We stop demanding the other person be our savior and we free them to simply be human.
And when we start demanding that they be our savior, when we finally put down the surveillance system and the constant analyzing, I've noticed that's when the really rare sacred moments actually happen.
Yes.
Have you ever been on a long drive with someone, no music playing, just comfortable silence, and you look over at them, and suddenly the boundary between me and you just softens?
It's beautiful.
It's not a desperate merging, it's just a profound, quiet recognition. You weren't trying to extract anything from them, you're just existing together.
That is the moment of revelation we are aiming for. In those quiet moments in the car, you are remembering that in the deepest sense, you were never truly separate to begin with. There is a famous Zen saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water.
Right.
The external action looks exactly the same, but the inner world has entirely shifted. We can apply this beautifully to how we love.
How so?
Before awakening, before we bring mindfulness to our attachments, we seek closeness to feel whole. We're trying to acquire something we think we lack, but after awakening, we offer closeness because we realize we already are whole.
So this passionate fire we talked about at the beginning, it isn't the enemy. We don't have to become cold and detached. The fire is actually just an alarm bell urging us to pay attention to what's happening underneath the surface.
Precisely. We don't need to transcend our messy, complicated human emotions to find real love. We need to descend into them with immense kindness and courage.
Descend into them.
And I want to be very clear about something, because we often expect love to be an anesthetic. True closeness does not erase your loneliness.
It doesn't.
It doesn't magically make the human ache disappear forever. True closeness transforms loneliness.
Transforms it.
By turning inward, by bravely breathing right into those hollow spaces we usually try to fill with romantic drama, we make a stunning discovery. The emptiness we feared so deeply isn't a lack at all.
What is it then?
It is a wide, spacious vessel. And that vessel is finally capable of holding both our profound solitude and our deepest connection, without confusing one for the other.
What a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Moving from being completely consumed by the illusion of the fire to learning how to sit comfortably beside it.
Exactly.
It really comes down to tending the hearth of your own presence first before you invite someone else to sit with you. I want to thank you, the listener, for joining us on this deep dive. It takes a lot of courage to look honestly at how we love and how we might be getting in our own way.
It does take courage, and I want to leave you with a comforting truth to carry forward. Real intimacy is loving someone not because they magically complete your puzzle, but because their incompleteness beautifully mirrors your own. In that shared, trembling vulnerability, you realize that you are not alone in your aloneness, and neither are they.
It changes everything when you view it that way.
It really does. And as you navigate your own relationships in the days ahead, I want to leave you with one final, quiet question to ponder on your own time.
Let's hear it.
Think about this. What if the very parts of yourself that you are most desperately trying to hide from a partner, the messy, unpolished, quote-unquote unlovable pieces you conceal to keep the fire burning, are actually the only true entry points through which real intimacy can ever reach you?
Wow. I'm going to be sitting with that question for a while. It completely flips the script on what we think makes us lovable. Until our next deep dive, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Breathe deeply. Goodbye for now.
Walk gently. Goodbye.